So I always tell people like, take a step back. Don't come to me and say like, oh, I need links, because you don't even know if you need links, right? Like you don't even know what's broken on your site, what the strategy is for getting that fixed.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Demand Gen Chat. I am your host, as always, Emil Shore. And in today's chat, I was lucky enough to sit down with John Doherty. So for those of you who don't know John, he is the founder of a company called Credo, which is a service that connects great businesses with reputable and vetted SEO and digital marketing providers. Before starting Credo, John actually ran marketing and growth for HotPads and Trulia Rentals. So he's a super smart guy, definitely knows what he's talking about. You'll definitely want to tune into this one. A couple highlights from our chat: why John has taken a month off from Twitter, how to define your SEO strategy, whether you're doing it in-house or you're trying to hire an agency, strategies to rank product pages when you're going after really competitive keywords, how building your brand can actually have a huge impact on your overall SEO, ways to build backlinks to your site without sending thousands of spam emails. You'll definitely want to check out those tips. Plus, we have a lot more. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's hop into the episode. Thanks for joining me today, John.
Emil, thanks for having me, man. It's my pleasure to be here.
So today we're going to be talking a lot about SEO. You have a super solid background in SEO, so I figured we'd dive in deep there. But before we get into all the SEO stuff, I know you're pretty active on Twitter, and I saw that you're going on hiatus this month. Why and how's it going?
Yeah, you're right. I am very active on Twitter. I've built up a big following there over the years. And yeah, I decided July 30th of this year that I wanted to take the month of August off of Twitter for a bunch of different reasons. Some of it is just Twitter feels like it's become kind of a cesspool and not really a place I want to hang out too much. And I would literally say that like I was or am addicted to it. Like they've done their job of making their product sticky. So I was like, I'm so tired of this. And then also there's a lot going on, with my company at this point, a lot of big projects going on. I was like, I need to focus. I need to get some creative work done. It's like, I'm just going to give it a shot. I've had friends that have done it in the past and it really like reduced their usage. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. So I had my wife change my password, so I can't even log in. So she'll give me access back on September 1st if I ask for it. But it's been really good. Like I haven't been on there in 8 days now, something like that.
Yeah.
I've gotten a ton of creative work done. I don't think I've missed anything. Like I'm a big fan of Tim Ferriss's information diet from the 4-Hour Work Week.
Yeah.
And I've tried to do that in the past. I limit a lot of like news intake and such, but Twitter is just like the constant like rat race of, everything is important and nothing's important at the same time. And so I feel like I'm actually like getting a lot better information now, seeing the stuff that matters, and all the like drama and stuff in like the digital marketing industry on Twitter. I just don't see it, and I don't really care about it. I don't miss it.
Yeah, I feel I'm going to raise my hand with you. Like I am totally addicted to Twitter, and there's so many times where I'm like, why? There's times where it's like, this is awesome and I'm getting like really good information. And then times where I'm like, why am I on here? And I just feel like worse for having gone.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good idea. I want to like try like a week.
Well, the thing is, I would recommend it. And there's a trade-off to it as well, because I've met some of my best friends in the world who are like in my same industry on Twitter. Like we were friends on Twitter first, and then we met in person. I got like,
that's how you and I met.
Yeah, that's how we met. Exactly. Yeah. And then we met on Twitter, and then we met in person in San Diego. Exactly. And I would say my business exists because of Twitter, because of like the digital marketing industry and the SEO industry being active on Twitter. I've built a good following there, but I think I also lean on it as a crutch. I have some bigger like initiatives coming out, and I'm like, am I just leaning on Twitter as like a marketing channel when it's not really? And maybe I need to like learn some other ways to like, generate business outside of like this one social network. So it's kind of an experiment that way as well. And too early to tell how that's going, but it's, I'm at least getting a lot more work done. I feel a lot better. I feel a lot more creative. So give it a shot, I guess.
Yeah. I don't think you're going to like seriously miss anything by taking a month off. And like you said, it just gives you like a chance to focus in other areas. So it's awesome, dude.
And I have things like Noozle. I don't know if you've heard of Noozle, Nuzzel.
No.
That basically it like you authenticate with Twitter, and it basically sends you the like top 5 to 7 links that your followers have tweeted the previous day. So
Huh.
I'm seeing the important news like in the industry and,
Right.
like broader across some like politics and stuff, but like all the other just stuff that's going on and announcements and such that like just aren't moving my business forward. I don't
Yeah.
see them. So I feel pretty good about that.
That's good. I'm gonna have to check that tool out. Sounds like a good like filter to get rid of a lot of the noise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So let's hop into some SEO topics. You and I were chatting earlier, and you said way too many people are like, they're bought in that they need SEO help, but that's all they really understand. And they just come to you saying, I need SEO help, and they don't even know what that would mean for them. So I figure we can open up talking about like strategy and how do you even define your strategy before you go looking for SEO help?
Totally. Totally. Yeah. It's a great question. So, I mean, in my day-to-day, basically what Credo does is I help businesses connect with great digital marketing, SEO and digital marketing providers,
Yeah.
agencies and consultants. I primarily work with agencies. And so I get a lot of businesses coming to me I mean, at this point, if you're online, you've heard of SEO, right? You've heard of search engine optimization. But most people are not professional SEOs. They're not in it every day like I am, like a lot of people are. And so they're like, okay, we need to improve our traffic, but they're like, I want to try it out and put a little bit of budget into it, or
Mm-hmm.
I need to build links, or they're like, oh, I just lost half of my traffic and I don't know why, right?
Yeah.
And so, they're kind of like, they don't know where to go. And so that's what I've tried to do with Credo and position Credo and myself as that person to kind of direct them to where they need to go. And what
Yeah.
I tell people is, one, search engine optimization is going to take a while to start working. If you've never actively done it before, you don't know what you need to do. You don't know what your competitors are doing. So it's going to take you like, you get audits done, you do keyword research, all of that is going to take you time to get changes implemented on your site, to build links, to create content, all of that. Minimum 3 months to start seeing forward progress,
Yeah.
probably more like 6 to 12 before it's making a market difference in your business.
Right.
So if you're saying I need to like grow my business double by next month, unless you're only doing like $200 a month in revenue, then like, but if you're, then like, okay, sure. Like, let's talk about that. But if it's like, plus like you can't afford to work with an agency if you only have $200 a month in revenue. That's beside the point, but it's going to take time. So if you're looking for a short term, like kind of hit of traffic and revenue, put that money into advertising, make that profitable, and then come back and invest in SEO. SEO is not an expense, it's an investment.
Right.
Which a lot of people just see it as like a line item, but actually you have to invest up front in order to reap the benefits later, just like affiliate marketing or even in your career, right? You're not going to be a director of marketing until you're like 6 or 7 years in, which means you've put in the work for 6 or 7 years, right? You don't
Right.
have to do that for SEO that long, but like at least a couple months of upfront investment before you really start to see, the benefit from it.
Right.
So I always tell people like, take a step back. Don't come to me and say like, oh, I need links, because you don't even know if you need links, right? Like you don't even know what's broken on your site, what the strategy is for getting that fixed. So
Right.
start with like an overall SEO audit. So it involves technical, it involves content, it involves looking at your competitors, it involves looking at links. What links do you have? What links could you get? What links do your competitors have? How are they building links? All of those things. And kind of set that strategy there. And then that determines the budget that you need moving forward and how long and it's going to take and where to invest in order to actually see what you want to get from it.
Right. And I'm sure like if you're newer site, hasn't done anything, you're going to give them like so much different of an audit or like tell them a starting point than a site that has millions of organic hits a month, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So a smaller site, like let's talk about like a local website, right? Like a local restaurant or something like that.
Yeah.
The way you do SEO for that is completely different than how you do SEO for like, a Zillow, right? That has literally 9 figures of pages in Google's index. Like they have a unique page for every single address in the United States. Like
Right.
that site is enormous and it has, it's like one of the most authoritative websites online. Very different work from like, a local, like my local wings place here in Denver, in my neighborhood. Where how you're gonna rank for that, in the map pack, who your competitors are, that sort of thing. Very different strategies and different budgets being put towards it.
Yeah.
So most like a local restaurant will have, I don't know, 8-10 main keywords that are going to drive business
Right.
to them, right? Best wings in Denver, wings, Highlands, Denver, that sort of stuff. versus like, you know, a site like Zillow that gets literally tens of millions of visits a month from organic, just
Right.
across a crazy long tail of every address and, you know, all that stuff, plus the head terms. Very, very, very different.
Yeah. What about for like B2B SaaS? I'd say a lot of the people watching this are B2B SaaS companies. So for them, what's a good place to start with their strategy, for their SEO strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say it depends on how mature your industry is,
Yeah.
and who your competitors are. So for example, like the live chat industry, right? Like you have the traditional ones like Olark and those sorts, and then you have some of the, I mean, they're pretty well known now in our industry. And if you're in B2B SaaS, you're going to know them. But you have Intercom, you have Drift, you know, you have all these different ones, and
Right.
they are very well funded and they are very aggressive.
Yeah.
So for most, so, you know, if you're competing against those and you're just starting out, like you're going to have a tough time being competitive against them.
Right.
What I tell people is, so if you're, you know, if you're just starting out or you've been going for a while, hopefully you've been, you know, leveraging like your founder's story and, you know, teaching people, you know, basically helping your customers solve their problems and putting out content around that as well. So
Yeah.
hopefully you have some links coming into your site. What I tell people is do the keyword research to split your site into basically two different buckets of keywords, types of keywords. There's your transactional. So like, you know, like live chat software is probably the one that like Olark, Intercom, Drift are all going to want to rank for. But then
Right.
there are other questions about like, what is a messenger bot, that sort of stuff, right? That's an informational query. And people that are like trying to understand, you know, how do I, like, what is this bot thing? How do I use it? You know, is it for me? Who offers it? That sort of stuff.
Right.
Those are more informational keywords that are going to get people familiar with your brand. So you need that combination there. You need the pages dedicated to live chat software and messenger bot software and that sort of stuff. But then
Yeah.
you also need the informational keywords, whether it's a resource center, you know, or an active blog, you know, that sort of thing, basically helping people, educating your potential customer about what it is that you do and how your software can help them solve their problem.
Yeah.
So I say like launch those pages, recognize it's going to take you longer to rank for those transactional keywords, and then
Right.
invest heavily in building out that informational content, because then you can get them into your, you know, into your email list and that sort of stuff, offer them content upgrades,
Right.
and you're elongating your funnel and you're going to get a lot more potential customers that way.
Yeah. I'm sure you've had experience with like you said, those transactional keywords. Those pages are just so hard to rank because
So hard.
they're super competitive and no one links to like a software page or a service page. So like
It's true.
how have you been able to get those to rank high?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are a bunch of different strategies that you can do for it. Part of it is just, it's just going to take time, right? Building more links to your site, you know, getting more like branded links to your homepage overall is just going to make your whole website stronger. And, you know, it's just going to lift everything. It's going to help you rank better in the long tail and for those specific keywords.
Yeah.
Normally what I tell people, so for example, like live chat software, right? You know, whether it's an Olark or an Intercom or a Drift, like links, your homepage is probably going to be the one targeting that, because that's like the, you know, overall bucket of what you do.
Right.
And well, for some of them it's marketing automation now, but you know, you get the point. So like, you know, if you're doing kind of branded stuff, like, you know, press related stuff, your CEO is being mentioned places, you're doing, you know, different events and sponsoring, you know, events and that sort of thing, like those links are going to come into your homepage. So over time, you're just going to rank better from that. You have solid on-page SEO targeting, your title tags, your H1s, your on-page content, all that good stuff.
Right.
For specific, like kind of lower down pages, you know, like smaller features and that sort of thing, they're not going to be as valuable as, you know, your like kind of main head term keyword, live chat software, for example. So like Facebook
Right.
Messenger bot software, a lot less volume, you know, in that. So, you know, it's not going to be as valuable because there's less volume. It's not going to be as hard to rank for. So you
Yeah.
need fewer links, right?
Yep.
So I would say, when you launch these things, do press around it to try to like get an influx of links coming directly to that page.
Yeah.
So that right there will help you rank better. And then also, you know, as you're continually, you know, marketing your site, you're talking about these different topics, linking back to that page from the content that you're creating that is hopefully also getting links.
Yeah.
So that content gets stronger and kind of pushes these internal links to those pages.
Right.
And then, you know, different things like, you know, more robust pages get better links. So having videos and having like how-tos and that sort of stuff on those product pages can also help you out as well, because people are willing to reference it, because it's not just like a, hey, join our free trial to get your first Facebook Messenger bot sort of thing. But it's like, actually go to this page because it has information as well about Facebook Messenger bots. So that just makes it more linkable right there.
Gotcha. Makes a lot of sense. What about like, let's say you are venturing into something that's new. So there's not a lot of search volume around like a competitive, like a transactional keyword, like live chat software. You're creating something new. It's different. So the search volume isn't there. Is it really then,
Yeah.
you're focusing really on that non-transactional like content marketing, like traditional content marketing, or is it like trying to find closely related keywords and, getting people to click there and maybe do like a corner turn, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. So I would say it is in that case, it's a combination of things. One is it is going to be a lot more around that like informational content and people kind of asking, if hopefully if you're launching something new, you're launching it because you've identified that there's a need. And there's all these people asking like, how do I do X, Y, and Z? Or is there a product for, this specific thing?
Yeah.
Right. So people are asking those questions, start answering those questions on your site. And then Rand Fishkin, who was the founder of Moz, is now founded a company called Spark Toro. He's a friend of mine, and he talks about basically the best SEO you can do is to build a brand, right? So instead of people searching for like you look at if you look at Moz and then you look at SEO software,
Right.
Moz has way more search volume. Like their branded term has way more search. Or even SEO Moz, their old brand, right? I think that still also has more search volume than
Yeah.
SEO software. Right. So like the best thing you can do is invest into that. People buy, from brands that they trust. And if you're like a trusted brand and you rank number 3 for, for keywords that even if it's not like a ton of volume, like you
Right.
should be ranking there because it's relevant to your business. And someone else, other people are ranking like 1 and 2, and maybe you have like, I don't know, wiki answers and something else. And then you're number 3 and they've heard of your brand. They're clicking on your listing instead of the other 2.
Yeah.
So investing down and building that brand. I'm not a brand builder by any means. I don't pretend to be. I've kind of stumbled into it with building my own company. But I get a lot of people searching for like Credo or Get Credo, which at this point has just as much volume as like best SEO consultant sort of stuff. So I'd rather be like the go-to place for finding trusted providers than like another site that's listing some SEO consultants on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm totally with you, dude. I've never been into like branding. I've always been more like demand gen focused, SEO ads and stuff. But you're right.
Yep.
Anytime you hop into Google Analytics or Search Console and you look at the terms that are driving the most clicks, it's always your brand by a huge margin. So like, yeah, some of
Totally.
like transactional ones, they can be helping you like grow your reach and all that. But you're right. Like expanding your brand and getting more people searching for your brand is like, that's way more powerful. It can be way more powerful.
Totally. Yeah, I've found some, and there's some interesting studies that have been done over the last probably 2 years as well that shows that basically as like your branded search volume increases, then like your non-branded organic traffic is going to go up as well because you're basically a more trusted site, and Google's starting to associate like your brand as an entity and something that people are actually looking for themselves. So
Yeah.
I'd much rather have people, so you can do things like, if you're doing, so like, for example, SEO consultants, right? I don't want
Yep.
people just searching for SEO consultants. I want people searching for SEO consultants Credo or
Right.
SEO consultants Get Credo, right? Which the brand is called Credo. People call it Get Credo because of my URL, because
Yeah.
credo.com costs way too much money. But bootstrap startup, man, bootstrap, tech startup. But I'd rather have people doing that. And you can do things like that as well, right? Instead of like giving people a URL, just tell them, hey, search like, this question plus my brand name, and it'll pop up, and then they click on that, and then over time, like that can help you rank better.
Yeah.
So it's all about like associating your brand with these terms that you want to rank for.
Right. Didn't Neil Patel, wasn't he famous for that? Like love him or hate him, gotta be interested in the experiments the guy runs. Remember he did the campaign on like Instagram where he had a bunch of models like holding up who is Neil Patel to see if more branded searches.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he actually found that it helped a lot of his other terms. So that kind of backs what you're
He
saying
did.
as well.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's kind of a ridiculous test, and
Yeah.
I mean,
That's one
he
way to do
pushes
it.
the limits. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
He's a really smart guy. And he tests some interesting stuff. And yeah, he found that. I know Rand's run a bunch of those tests. He has a group of people that like run tests like that. So it's an interesting new thing, new development in the last couple of years in the SEO industry.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I also don't want to get hung up on like the silver, the silver bullets or like, hey, the new shiny object in the room, right? Like at the end of the day, good SEO is having a site that's crawlable, that loads fast, doing the keyword research and building the individual pages to target those individual terms, providing useful content to your users that people are going to want to link to because it's the best piece of content on the internet about that topic, and
Yep.
then building links to your website, from authoritative websites. That's how
Yeah.
you're going to rank.
It's true, man. The basics are always like classic for a reason. They're the building blocks.
Exactly. Don't try to run before you can walk, right? And there are a lot of people out there that aren't even walking yet when it comes to SEO.
Yeah. Would you say there are some industries where it's like, look, SEO is not the right fit for you? Like, I'll use Chili Piper as an example. Like we make tools for marketing and salespeople, super tough industry. There's a lot of like big
Yep.
players. It's like,
Yep.
okay, is SEO the best play for us here? Or do we have to go through other options? What's your take on that?
Oh man, that's a great question. There are definitely some industries where it is really, really hard to rank. And you're not going, and once again, this goes back to SEO being an investment, not an expense, where you have to recognize that it's going to take you a while to rank because the terms are pretty competitive and they're established, established people in there. Maybe they're well-funded companies, which
Right.
as a startup, you can move faster, right? So, in some ways you have an advantage. In other ways, they have the like first mover advantage because they've been out there on the internet for 10 years building links and,
Right.
they're super strong.
Right.
So I think your strategy changes. So at first it's a matter of, informational content, bigger pieces of content that can actually rank for these bigger terms. And then over time, you start ranking for these, for these more head terms that are directly going to drive, business to you. So in that way, what I tell people is, invest in content, invest in, kind of building out that longer tail of traffic. But at the same time, also be advertising against these keywords that you want to rank for. Because the data shows that if, you're ranking on the first page, organically for a term and you're advertising against it, you're going to get paid clicks, but you're also going to get more organic clicks. It's definitely a dual pronged approach there. And there are also some industries, they're kind of the more illicit industries, right? The peas, porn, pills, poker, like there are people that just focus on those niches because they can be so profitable. But what they have to do to rank, like they're churning through sites every couple months, they have these like crazy, link schemes built out and they burn one site and they point all those links to another site and that site starts ranking. Like the stuff they're doing is insane. And like, I don't want to try to compete there. Like that's nuts to me. It's just not gonna do anything for you.
Yeah.
There are those. But also SEO is an investment. It's going to take time to rank. So I wouldn't say don't invest in it at all, but set your expectations for what you're actually going to be able to rank for,
Right.
And how long it's going to take you to start seeing real results from investing in, good SEO.
Yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. I'm like, I know it's going to take us a long time and we have to start investing now, even though we're not going to see the fruit of it for such a long time because we're going up against some big people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the longer you wait, the longer it's going to take you to see it. So it's like you have to be investing in it early.
Right, exactly. And actually one thing I would say that might be interesting to you is, so 2011, the Panda algorithm rolled out, right? Which basically targeted low quality content. I just pulled up your site and it got dark on me over here. So it was targeting low quality content. And over time, we've been seeing these rumors of like people talking about entities and like Google's basically associating different terms with, different, with different brands and that sort of stuff. I saw yesterday, it was in an email or something where a friend of mine was there. Google has this like entity search link now that he was uploading photos of people in the industry, and Google will basically tell you what terms they are associating with that person's photo.
Wow.
So like Rand, it was like Moz, SEO Moz, entrepreneurship, his book title, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So So basically like things mentioning Rand are also going to be able to rank probably better for like entrepreneurship or SEO related terms, which is really interesting that like these topics are tied together. One thing I've seen actually on my own site, and I don't think I've talked about this publicly, is I have a bunch of different. So here's some inside information for you. Something I've been realizing is I have a bunch of different like category pages on my site, right? I have the typical like SEO agencies, SEO consultants, but then I've gone to the longer tail as well. So
Okay.
SaaS SEO agencies,
Mm,
e-commerce SEO consultants, that sort of stuff. I
yeah.
have some big guides built out on my site, like 10, 15,000 words about like, real estate marketing or SaaS. I have a whole SaaS SEO guide.
Okay.
I launched that in April. And 2 weeks later, I basically popped to number 1 or number 2 for pretty much all of the SaaS SEO related like head terms that I'm targeting with those pages.
Wow.
So basically the search engine said, I've done it for SaaS, I've done it for e-commerce, I've done it for real estate, I've done it for B2B. So like basically the search engines are coming to associate my site with these topics as well, with these like verticals, as well as like types of marketing as well. I don't rank as well for like Facebook ads related stuff, even though like I'm doing the same sort of SEO for those, but my site isn't associated with that topic.
Right.
So that's an interesting thing to think about as well, in keeping like focused on, a specific type as opposed to going super broad with your content.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like topical relevance has been a sticking point in SEO for a long time, but I feel like
Mm-hmm.
now it's starting to be more and more true. Like you're saying, like
Yeah.
Google's getting better at understanding what sites are actually about and what they're strongest in and giving them a little bit higher rank in those.
Yeah. And how much trust they should put in them as well. For a long time, it's been all about like, links has been the currency of SEO, right? But
Yep.
a couple weeks ago, Google rolled out their new search engine like rater guidelines. So basically, they have like 10,000 people reviewing like different search results and looking at like, does a page deserve to rank in this sort of thing? And
Yeah.
that feeds their algorithm. They don't have the power to like demote a site because they're like, oh, this isn't as relevant as it should be for this query, or it shouldn't be ranking this well. But
Right.
all of that feedback goes into and into the algorithm. And a couple of weeks ago, they released an update, and basically it talked a lot more about trust and also what they call YMYL queries. So your money or your life. And this is also, so basically where like, it's like medical information and banking, financial information, that sort of stuff. And they call it a core algorithm, basically a broad algorithm change started rolling out last week. Supposed to be finishing up, around yesterday or today. And it looks like a lot of like medical and financial sites were affected by it, because like they're basically saying, okay, we trust WebMD, we don't trust these other like kind of alternative medicine sites that we're ranking for all these different terms.
Interesting.
So I think they're getting better at determining like who is an authority and who is not, based off of multiple factors. Links are included in there, I think, but I think there are a lot of other factors going in as well, which is super interesting and kind of a change in how search has been working to this point.
Right. Yeah. I mean, those are two areas where it's so important for people to get legit information, like from good sources.
Yeah.
That's good to hear that they're doing that. I mean, people have been able to game it with terrible information for the longest time. It's like constant.
Really long time.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So you said, okay, I want to get into link building a little bit. For anyone who's done it, it is soul crushing. It is hard.
Sucks.
It sucks. It's hard.
It sucks.
And it only gets harder over time, right? Like it used, 5-6 years ago, you used to email somebody and say, hey, I saw you link to this. I have something better. You could pick up links that way. But I feel like that's gotten less and less effective over time.
It has. It still works some, but it is less effective.
Yeah. The percentage of like conversion rate just goes down and down and down over time. So what are some methods you're seeing now that still work for link building?
Yeah, good question. One of the best ways, when I think about link building, I think, how can I provide the most value to someone else so that they want to link to my site? Right. So, if you're writing like 400-word blog posts that are like 3 ways to do X sort of stuff, like people don't want that stuff. People want to link to like original data. They want to link to, basically like the canonical piece about that topic on the internet. Right. This stuff takes a lot more time, a lot more money, a lot more expertise to put together. And so that's why it ranks. And that's why people want to link to it. So I would say I mean, A, creating that content on your site, and then B, reaching out to people about it. It does help to also have like a known brand, and to be like a trusted like entity. Like it's much harder to earn links, to get links if you're an unknown person in an industry, or you're working on an unknown site, versus, you have a site that has been vouched for by influential people. You have their testimonials on your homepage, all that sort of stuff. People would be like, oh, this is actually a legit company. I go to this guy's Twitter account, and he's, taking a month off of Twitter for the month of August, but he has 30,000 followers. Like, probably a legit person, right? And so they're going to give you a link. So there's that. I also think, guest posting can still work really, really well to get links back, right? Providing like awesome content. I have a friend that runs, or he's the like VP of product at a well-known hosting company. And I've been writing blog posts for them, and they were like, yeah, we want like 700-800 words. I've been delivering them like 2,000 word blog posts, about these like SEO related topics. And they're ranking, they're driving them traffic. I get like a byline link out of it. I don't do it for the link, but like, I get one.
Yeah.
And so like just providing that crazy like outsized value right there is going to be it. Not, emailing some stock thing saying like, I'll provide you content. I promise it's going to be, unique and blah, blah, blah. Like, if you're saying that it's going to be unique, like it's probably not going to be unique. Right? Like just at the end of the day. And that's not the kind of person you want writing on your site anyway. So think about it as the person that is getting pitched as these. Is like, when I see that, I'm like, no, I just mark it as spam and move on. So I would say like, and there's some other ways, just to build links, like, scalably partnerships. If you're like an e-commerce site, then, you can syndicate your listings, right? You can syndicate your products and sometimes get links back. That's really, that happens a lot in like the rentals industry and the real estate industry. So like, that's an interesting, way to think about it. In SaaS, a lot of like partnerships, like companies that you partner with or tools that you use, will often link to you. One thing I love doing actually that works really well for B2B and for B2B SaaS overall is offering testimonials. So, use a product, like say you use, Mailshake, right? Sujan Patel's tool.
Yep.
I'm sure you know Sujan. Say you use Mailshake, right? Email Sujan and be like, hey man, I love Mailshake. Can I give you a testimonial? And companies are always looking, maybe don't email Sujan. I forget who's running Mailshake for them, but like, use hunter.io, find their email address, reach out to them. Yep. They will be happy to take your testimonial, and they will probably put it on their homepage, and they will probably link to you. But you're offering them something of extreme value to them.
Right.
And you're being a real person about it. Right. Yep. So that's one that I love doing. It works really, really well. And, people are super, super appreciative of it.
100%. The partnership one, I agree with you completely as well. Like there's people in your industry who, provide maybe like a complementary solution to you. Like you guys aren't direct competitors, but your tools are maybe complementary. And like, doing co-promotion, co-marketing stuff, you guys, you form a relationship. It's like, why not, if they have good resources on their site, like exchange, like, I don't want to call it link exchanging, but like linking to valuable resources they have, and then like them doing the same.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing there, Emil, is that links is like the least valuable thing you can get from a partnership, because there are so many other ways like to market your business, right? As you said, co-marketing, guest posting, you can maybe set up affiliate agreements. Like there's so many other ways that you can use partnerships to build your business as well. New potential customers, and yeah, if you get a link or two out of it, great. I'm not going to say that's not valuable, but there are a lot of, but like partnerships are just extremely, extremely, extremely valuable for you. And then also like, with like guest posting as well, like you're building up that your name, right? That like you're a trusted author, within that space, that you're an expert, and that you're a trusted authority within that space on that topic. And then you can link to people. If you're trying to get more guest posts, you can say like, hey, I've written here, I've written here, I've written here, I've written here, I've been mentioned here. People are like, oh shit, he's been mentioned like Wired and, Search Engine Journal and like, Wall Street Journal, right? All these different places. And they're like, okay, yes, I want that person to write on my site.
Right. Haro, Haro, and unlinked mentions. I also want to like throw those in there. Those are like, those are always good.
True.
Setting up Google alerts, and people mention your
Yep.
brand all the time and don't link to you. And that one is like such an easy ask. And most time people are like, oh yeah, I just forgot to link to you. No problem.
Totally. Yes. That one is awesome. So unlinked brand mentions and also your name.
Right.
If you're like a founder that you're out there doing stuff and people mention
Yeah.
you, like make sure you have that set up, for just reputation management, but also for earning links. And I love Haro, help a reporter out.
Yep.
I use it a lot. I've gotten like crazy authoritative links from that. My one suggestion there is don't just keep the stuff within your specific industry, because we're people, right? We're people that do stuff outside of work. We have personal lives, we have hobbies. I got a half page write up in a cannabis industry magazine because my wife and I give our dog CBD dog treats in the car because he gets anxiety.
Okay. I've always wondered about the CBD dog treats. I've seen those too. I have a dog and I'm like,
They're awesome.
it just
They're
mellows
awesome.
them out. It just like,
Yeah. We have a 90-pound, we think, Black Lab Great Dane mix. And he's
yeah.
pretty like anxious in the car. We
Mm.
give him like 3 of those before we go drive up to the mountains. And he's just like, he's chill. He's just like sitting there, like panting and just watching out the front, but he's not like trying to rush into the front or whining or anything.
Right.
They're magical.
Total
I
aside.
highly recommend them. Yeah. And totally non-lethal as well. Like he could eat the whole bag of them. He'd
Yeah.
be like super zoned out for a couple of days, but he could eat the whole bag and would be, totally fine, like non-lethal. So
Nice. Yeah. Total
yeah.
aside. I just wanted to like, yeah, I've seen those and was curious. So yeah, you said you mentioned you got to write up because you gave your dog or you'd bought CBD.
Yeah. So someone was saying like, hey, I'm doing a story on this. And I just emailed him and, told a good story around it. And, I didn't get any links out of it. It was actually in print. Like I have the magazine right around here. It's like me and him, like a big photo of me and him, like sitting,
Nice.
in my old apartment in San Francisco. It's pretty funny. But like I've gotten links from Reader's Digest, from US News and World Report, like all of those, related to like I do some travel hacking with credit cards. So, I responded to one about travel hacking, got written up in US News and World Reports.
Yeah.
I forget, I think it was a working remotely one for readersdigest.com. Like I've gotten links from these crazy authoritative domains from Haro, from talking about things that like, it's not talking about digital marketing, but it's like things that I do as an entrepreneur running my business.
Yeah. Interesting. That's a good tip for people like going outside of just your industry.
Mm-hmm.
What about, so, we've talked about like agency and how people can get it set up with consultant. What if someone comes to you and they're like, John, I want to set up an SEO team internally. I'm not sure how to do it. What tips have you given people who are trying to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the first thing I vet out is, are they ready for that? Do they, so the biggest thing there too, specifically talking about an SEO team is, like what are their needs like for their site and for their company around SEO? Like, do they actually understand what SEO could do for their business?
Yeah.
And the investment that's going to take to get there. Like a good SEO consultant or a good like in-house SEO is not going to be cheap.
Right.
Someone with like 3-ish years of experience, minimum 60K, probably more like 80. If you're in San Francisco and you want someone that has like 6-8 years of SEO experience, you're looking at $120, $140 easily.
Yeah.
So like it's going to be expensive. At the same time, 120K, that's paying an SEO agency 10K a month for, 12 months. So, it can even out. What I often ask people is like, do you actually have the team in place to support it? Like if you have a website that's built on Angular, Angular.js, so it's not crawlable, and there's a whole bunch of technical stuff that needs to happen, and you outsource it and you don't work with that agency anymore,
Yeah.
like you don't have the people are not resources. I always say you don't have the people, like the team in place to support what actually needs to happen in order for you to drive traffic, for that person to be successful. So I say get that in place first and then hire a person to basically direct that strategy. And honestly, like an SEO strategist or like a head of SEO manager, whatever you want to call it, they're probably still going to work with agencies and outside providers because they're going to be so busy with like technical keyword research, link building, all that stuff that goes into it, meetings, right? All those things.
Content
They're going to work with
creation.
agencies to produce content, and they're going to be working with developers to get things done. Like it's not just their salary. There's all these other costs that go in as well. So
Yeah.
I tell people is work with an agency or a consultant to determine your strategy first. What is it
Okay.
that you need to do? Where's your low hanging fruit and where's your long-term strategy? And then does an in-house person make sense for that? I've worked with a bunch of startups, bunch of companies that I basically go in and act as their like director of SEO. I'm part of sprints. I'm part of all that stuff. And I don't do much of that anymore, but I'd be part of sprints. I'd be talking with developers. I'd be talking with designers, planning out like scoping work, all of that. And then basically I work with those companies for 12 to 18 months and then help them hire a head of SEO because I know that within 12 to 18 months, they're going to need one because there's going to be so much work on their plate that I've given them. They need someone internally with the knowledge and that's doing it full time to manage those projects through.
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially like if you're working with a company that doesn't know SEO, right? They need that baseline education so that when they have someone who comes in, they like know what to work with them on.
Exactly. And then they're not going to hire like a head of SEO and pay them, good money. And then 3 months later be like, where's our traffic, right? Like they need to have their expectations set first about like, what all is involved with good SEO.
Yeah,
So
totally.
If it's a bigger company, I've worked with companies that have like 20-person SEO teams, which is pretty fun as well.
Yeah.
And for them, at that point, it's all about like organization. How do they structure their organization to work on different products? And, do they have, the teams internally that they need, design, development, engineering, I guess engineering development are the same thing, but like, those different teams in place that like, do they have finances backing, right? Do they have analytics backing to know, like to be able to measure and to be able to tie it back to the, the metrics that matter for the company? It gets much bigger than just like, are canonicals pointing to the right pages, right? Or like, are we fixing the 404s on our website? It's much more complicated than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I can only imagine. I've never been a part of like, a company that's doing millions, but it gets so technical and crazy. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's fun. I mean, when I was within Zillow Group, there were like 4 full-time SEOs on Zillow.com. Now they have more, I think. There were 2 or 3 on Trulia. There was me kind of floating. There was 1 on HotPads. We had like across all the brands, we had like 12, 13 like full-time SEOs.
That's a huge SEO
Super
team.
fun.
Yeah.
Super fun. Yeah. Plus development and all that. Like they basically had an SEO like their growth team, the SEO team on Zillow.com sat on the growth team. And so they had dedicated developers and designers and that sort of stuff. And each SEO was dedicated to a specific part of the business. So rentals, for sale, new projects, that sort of stuff. So at that scale, it gets crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine. Dude, I'm going to let you go. So let's wrap up. Where's the best place people can find you, connect with you?
Well, I would say Twitter, but I'm not on there right now. But I'll be back. So Doherty JF, DOHERTY JF on Twitter. And then the Credo site is getcredo, CRED as in dog, o.com. Cool. You can find me from all those places.
Nice. Yeah, by the time we drop this episode, you'll probably be back on Twitter. Maybe a little bit less than you were before, but you'll be back on.
That's the goal, but I'll be back.
Well, cool, man. Thanks again for joining me today.
For sure. Thanks for having me, Emil.